Shalom, shalom. Kal halalim la Yahweh, ba'Hashem Yahushai, ba'Hashem Rakak Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the prophets of that body. And shalom to the 144,000 and 1/3. May peace and blessings be upon your households. Now, myself, being an Israelite foreigner at that, even though Brakti Habashim Yashai, I'm a brown man, I don't look, Jake is Jake no matter what, but still it's a Barakim not to look like a cracker, you know. Even though Jake is still Jake, but still, you don't want to have that leprous look, But we know that some of our people look like that out there, which is no shot at them. I'm just saying it's a Barakim to be a brown man, whatever particular shade you are or whatever hair texture you have. Now, a lot of Israelites, right, especially from northern India, Persia, can even pass for a so-called Latino or Ephraim. You got you got that rapper from back in the day. He used to be one of Jay-Z's security or something. He had beef with Jim Jones, rapper called True Life. Right? Now, he looked like a stereotypical Ephraimite from New York, with the braids and all that, you know what I mean? And then he cut his hair, then as soon as he cut his hair, I looked at him and I said, man, this guy looks like Mr. Habibi, you know what I mean? Because there's certain Arabs that can pass for Ephraim too, but then again, we're scattered everywhere. We are scattered everywhere. All right. Now you can Google True Life yourself, how he looks. It's Trulife, True Life. Okay. He wasn't a major rapper. He didn't even really spit that hard, but he was he had more of a buzz maybe 10 years ago, or whatever, 15 years ago. True Life, right? Check him out yourself. Now, being a brown man, you can pass for pretty much any ethnicity. And even if you got the original look, the royal look of looking like a so-called black man, you can pass for any ethnicity. You can pass for a Haitian, you can pass for a Dominican, a so-called Puerto Rican, a dark, darker shaded brother. You know what I'm saying? You could pass for, some so-called black men can pass for Sri Lankans and Tamils and Bengalis and stuff. You know what I mean? Because then, even though Bengalis and Tamils for the most part are Elam, but then there's Jake amongst them too. Man, I start digressing a lot. I was about to digress. Conversation goes in a different direction, but I'm trying to stay focused, because your mind wanders so many different places. All right? Okay, but I'm going to go into a rapper called Locksmith, okay? Now, a lot of you, one more thing as well, because the world is, most of it is 90% or more is predominantly brown. All right, different shades, different hair textures. One family can have the Negro look, the Native Indian look, the so-called stereotypical Latino look in one Ephraimite family, and even some Southern Judite families. You could have Uncle Lester or something with pale skin and a fro. You can have Uncle Phil, with brown skin and straight hair, but with a so-called Negro nose. You can have Mommy Mary, as beautiful looking. What do you call them? What do you call them in the South, man? There's a term. Shit, doesn't come to mind. Salakia. You can have her with curly hair, looking like a Latina, but she got that Southern twang, and she's a Judite through and through. There's many. We come in many shades, right? We can pass from many nations, right? And how brothers get down. We've been in captivity so many times in so many different nations. America wasn't just America. We were slaves. Obviously, this is probably probably is the most worst captivity because of the things that we have gone through, right? And you know what they are, and some of them are not even mentioned. All right, like for example, they used our skin to make wallets, jackets, shoes. That's what they did to Nat Turner. They grinded that brother up so right down to the point where they used the goo of his flesh as lubrication for the wheels of the wagons. Those horse and carriage shit? Yeah, for that. All right? That's how far the hatred goes for Jacob. The so-called white man doesn't like you, Jakes, but you want to love everybody. All right? And in each captivity we went into, the so-called black man, just like today, and the Northern Kingdom too, right? We like to deal with women of all nations, all right? Women of all nations, man. There's fine women in every nation, all right? Fine women, all right? Now, me being from northern, my family stemming from northern India, even though my dad, because of being poor and stuff like that, his mother passing at a young age, right? My grandmother, who I never saw, right? They had to go to East Africa by ship to work there, and to make their money before he come to the UK, right? And incidentally enough, my dad's one of his really good friends in East Africa, in a place, by the way, how this is very highly spiritual. My dad went to a place called Dar es Salaam, which is basically Jerusalem. All right, Dar es Salaam in Africa. It's named after Jerusalem, right, in East Africa. And my dad's best mate, right, or one of his good friends was a guy called Moses, a so-called black man who helped my father out a lot. When my dad mentioned these things, this started ticking my mind, man, that's highly spiritual, right? But nevertheless, okay, like me being an Israelite foreigner, right? I understand, why, brothers, whoever, whichever forefather it was, many going hundreds of years ago, or maybe, several hundred years ago or more, you know, maybe during the Persian captivity. I don't know which captivity, but somehow our lineage ended up in northern India, which is on the border of Persia, right? And you know, and I look at the women uh, over there and Persia, then I think, damn, I say, look how fine they are today. Some of these Persian women, they look like Northern Kingdom women. Some of them do, full lips, beautiful big dove eyes, long dark hair, them hips are swaying, big breasts, I think, damn, because some Arab girls are fine, man. I'm telling you, shit. I'm from the UK, I know, right? And I think to myself, man, I said, I know why my forefathers dealt with Persian women. Number one, that's probably the only bunch of women that were there, but also they're fine too. Salakia for digressing, man, because I talk a lot. All right. Deuteronomy 4:27. And the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yashai shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither the Lord Yahweh Hashem Yashai shall lead you. All right. Now, we're everywhere, okay? We are everywhere. Because we've been into captivity everywhere, right? We have our seed everywhere. We're during captivity, during when we were ruling, during King Solomon's times, even modern day, who do these crackers recruit? Because they want to bump off all the Israelites. They know all the neighborhoods that are suffering join the armies. So-called black people, so-called Latinos, so-called Native Indians, whole bunch of Italian kids, from back in the World War I, World War II, from the Bronx and New York and all that, They say, yeah, bring in the Italians, But they know that they're ninjas. They know, these crackers know, get some of the Irish kids, you're going to see a whole bunch of Israelites in these armies because they want to bump you off. And what they do when they go abroad, they lay down with the women, because downtime you want to get some box, and that's what happens. Sometimes you die in the war, but that seed gets preserved. That's why I look at some of these Vietnamese and Cambodian gang members in the West Coast. Boy, they act just like Jake, and they're cool with Jake. There's no racism amongst them, like saying, "Oh, I hate you, N-words," because of this and the third. Even though the curses are there, but for the most part, like a lot of these Samoan gangs, they have black people in their gangs, they have Hispanics in their gangs. I hate saying the term black, by the way, but I'm just trying to make you understand, because those are the terms you understand, right? And they're Jake, Booyah Tribe, for example, and man, perfect example, right? I'm not saying every heathen is a Jake, of course not, because where the fuck are we going to get the slaves from? But we are everywhere. All right. Now before I play his little segment, right? This is Locksmith, right? Where's his picture at, man? All right, this is him. If you know who he is, that's him. That's how he looks. His name is Davood Ali Asghari. Now, his father is a Persian, okay, who some of you other wacky-tacky Israelite camps that are, and by the way, Braktiha Bashim Rashai for the men of the Lord, men of Great Millstone, man. All right. Now he can pass for a light-skinned so-called black man. By the way, his hair is straight, okay? You don't have no afro, okay? He can pass for like one of them southern state Jakes, light skinned or whatever, right? Or he could pass for a Latino, or maybe even native. Maybe because he's got the full beard. Maybe not northern, maybe not Gad, but some Gadites do have a full beard. You know what I mean? But he's actually a Persian. Now, there's his father, right? Who's Iranian. Okay? There's his mother. His father came from Iran, met his mother, and they had him. And he's got so-called half brothers and sisters whom his mother had with another so-called black man. Basically, his father is a so-called black man, but just in a different package. All right? And here's another picture, right? With, who's this here? That's probably Locksmith's grandparents from Iran. See his grandma there with a hijab. There's Locksmith, there's Locksmith's mother, right? Locksmith's father is probably more than likely this guy, and that's probably like maybe Locksmith's father's brother, right? His uncle, okay? Okay, now look at some of these Iranian women, man. Look at that. Some of them are nice looking, man. You know what I mean? And some Iranians can pass for white, but still some of them are still Jake. But remember, there's Elam and Esau. There's every nation is scattered in every country. You got Edomites in every nation. You got Elamites in every nation. You got Hamites in every nation. You got Hamites that look like crackers. You understand? Hamite lay down with a white bitch, Edomite, baby come out looking white, cute blonde little girl or whatever, and she's a Hamite. You know what I mean? This is going on. It's not just about Jake. Well, actually, the story is about Jake, of course, but Jake is scattered, the wheat amongst the tares, right? Now, a lot of you other camps, RUIC, what's the other one? Wi-Fi, you others, you never ever talk about Romans 8:16. You never talk about the other Israelite. You don't talk about the Israelite foreigners. You don't talk about it. All right? All right? Let's go to Romans 8:16 before I play the vid, man. All right? Romans 8:16, King James Version. Now, Locksmith is a Muslim, all right, like most Jakes are, scattered to the four corners of the earth, and a lot of our people worship what? Gods of wood and stone. And this fool is worshipping Allah, because his father's a Muslim. So obviously his father carried on the tradition of teaching his son. And obviously when Locksmith, you watch his interviews, he talks about his father taking him to, the so-called Middle East, Persia and all that, not the Middle East, because Persia is not Middle East, right? Going to see his family members. So his father kept him so-called in touch with his so-called roots, which is really not his roots, but obviously our people have knowledge. Our people have a connection to the Most High, but not according to knowledge. Romans 10 verse 2, right? Romans 8:16, the Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of the Most High. Yahweh B'Shem Yashai. I said Romans 10 verse 2, is that the right scripture? Romans 10 verse 2. Let's just go to NIV. For I can testify about them that they are zealous for the Most High, but their zeal is not based on knowledge. And Locksmith is a Muslim, right? Now, but he's still a Jake, but I'm going to show you, all right? There's no way a heathen is going to spit like this, all right? All right? Now, a lot of you others say, oh, that's an Elamite. That's an Elamite. Look, you other camps. Oh, that's an Elamite saying the N-word, all right? This guy went to university, did all the African-American studies, knows about slavery, the politics, and how Jake is treated in America. He actually cares for Jake. You understand? As well. All right? And when he spits bars, man. All right? And it was all with some beautiful substance. It makes you think, makes you digress, makes you meditate upon it. I think this guy's saying some heavy shit. But obviously he's a Muslim, he's into that Islam bullshit, but nevertheless, copyright fair use. And not that I got any kind of huge following or whatever, but Brother Locksmith, if you see this, listen, man, you're an Israelite, and I'm just showing your skill, man. I'm not making no money out of this. All right? Okay? I'm not making no money out of this. Okay? But you are an Israelite. 100%. All right? Let's go. You got Fat Joe there. Snake. Let's go.
Best. That's love. Do we got the beat? Yeah, you asking for it. Okay. It's on me? Yeah. Look. Your favorite rapper is full of shit. Everything that he's ever said is from a script. Everything you were ever fed is from the lips of dudes who don't believe in the principles that you come to grip. So now let's modify that. Modernize rap to personify facts. Instead of a face tat, go study some face raps. Brad Jordan is more important than Spotify stats. Niggas faking they streams anyway. Buying numbers, the number you are, they can penetrate. Plant seeds, a man's deeds is worth more. Can't breathe, I stampede the church door. Can't see myself following false doctrine. I'm Ice Cube, but there's no style that I'm boxed in. I get offended when niggas say that I'm top 10. Bitch, you get assaulted behind bars when I rock hymns. ASAP 2020, rock him. To the common industry tendencies, I will not bend. I would not flinch for a second. Check the opticals. Either you're a bridge or an obstacle. You see, I can give it to you, but what you gonna do with it? We created a style that most of you mimic. I'm less Kirk Franklin, more Langston Hughes with it. New chemics, still refusing the use of your eugenics. Too timid to approach me in real life, so you hide behind your keyboards. Your career is a permanent detour. I distort the view of your accolades and rewards. Reassure is pure when I record. I'm reborn on every beat that I reach for. When I preach or status quo on static, no, you rather leech more. That's the reason these niggas create the fake beef for, so you can click the link and they can eat more. You see, rappers on the bubble find other rappers that make trouble. Premeditate fuse and fan bases double. All at the expense of the listener, y'all ignore me. And you wonder why real niggas look at you as corny. Your coronation don't coincide with the corner store. The corridor to the coroner is the course you on. Of course you on. You a stereotype, a caricature of America's imperial plight. This is serious material, because every empirical image of niggas is seen in this satirical light. Either overly violent or you hypersexualize. If you've never been oppressed, then it's hard to contextualize. If you've never seen the truth, then it's hard to reject the lie. Dangerous is the claims in the affidavit. Dangerous is the blade from decapitation or religious cults handling snakes in the Appalachians. Witness the scope of his parameters. You can't cover these bullet wounds with bandages. We won't fight for our people with disadvantages, but camp overnight for Jordans and chicken sandwiches. Don't become a statistic, because you can get shot whether or not you even reach for a biscuit. The system that we in is sadistic. Until you kick the bucket and you covered in flour, then you enlisted. Listen to the lyrics that linger out of my language. Private owned prisons is generational anguish. This is all part of a larger plan they came with. They will force your hand till you fold and cave in. Cave drawings inside of a catacombs, or scattered bones of rappers inside of a mausoleum. That's just how I look at the artists that y'all be deeming. As a second coming, I'm coming to spar carpet demon. When niggas say facts, I think fiction. Rumors and allegations are just as bad as convictions. Social media mediates every decision, because we scared to take a stand in the court of public opinion. Black icons are now pawns inside the plot. Race is on trial. You in denial or you not. That's right. Not to say I conveyed was flagrant, but some of our spokespeople ain't nothing but double agents. I am the Denmark Vesey, the Plessy Ferguson. Every verse of him is necessary but burdensome. And onerous, you diss at your own risk. If you speak my name in vain and you slit in your own wrist, it's about ownership. Who was ownership? I was ownership. I was trying to focus on getting noticed to coexist. Your coping method ain't copacetic or ropometic. You spoke a verse, but we know who did it. You're so pathetic. You go on Reddit and readily try to mock me. Aki, you waiting on the Mardi Gras. I'm waiting on the mock me. Your motley crew is a crusade of incels. I am the audio equivalent of a chemtrail. All well and ends well. The ends justify the means. Your meaningless mockery will land you incels. In celebration of finally finding patience, I'm placing my own bias to the side to gather intel. Nigga, I will slay y'all kings. Leave your bitch wide open like Draymond Green. Leave your click side coping today. Say I mean. A stock for the law. Don't ever underplay my dean. Whatever I say, I mean. I believe that I was chosen. Plucked from the fruit of the tree that you beholding. Emboldened by faith, my father gave divinity. Fuck status quo. No record label can limit me. Every rap is to
Salakia for that damn commercials, man. Never happened yesterday. It played all the way through. But this guy's like Black Thought, man. Just spits bars, man. He could go on for like ages. All right, so like, let me just get rid of this shit. Let me just pause it. So you can hear the goodness of the stuff. So far, he's been going on for about 4 minutes. All right. Now, you're gonna say, "Oh, that's a talented heathen." Some of you other camps. You gotta be out your damn mind, man. That's a Jake. Okay? Heathens ain't gonna spit like that. Heathens ain't gonna spit no shit like that, okay? All right? Listen, this is you be out your mind, man. Jaking this, you can't fake Jake, all right? Crackers can put on the hat sideways and maybe get it put on a nose ring and maybe wear baggy, whatever, man. The dress code youngsters wear today, right? Right? And amongst crackers, they might say, the N word, yeah, what's up, my N word, whatever, right? But you can't fake Jake, man, when it comes to skill and style and soul, okay?
See, every act has been clinically diagnosed as so. So why take offense to these bitch niggas that you choose to celebrate? Till they lose steam, then you scheme to separate. Set the date and I meet it, accelerate through anemic. Niggas claiming they got you, but never there when you need them. Begging for me to lead them, I leave them all at wayside. I take pride exposing when niggas can't hide. I take sides when niggas aim at my family. Let them dwell in hell, the heavens is my canopy. Your ghostwriter's full of estrogen. You let him rewrite your life like Paul in the New Testament. Set me next to his Mexican, I will X him, then exit when niggas say that I'm done, but homie, that has never been. I'm never bent off bullshit. I use it to fertilize my dreams. You scream, but it's useless. Look, I'm the byproduct of prophecy, the foreshadow of forced travel from my apathy, the quite opposite of what's opulent. Every occupant inside your purview deters you from what you strive to get. I'm considering littering little nuggets of information to give niggas some game before they reach the pavement. The pay stubs that you stubbornly waste will eventually bite the ass of those spinning with haste. See, there's a difference between a player and a coach, a boss and a roach, a sheep and a goat. The anchor's been severed, still we sink with the boat. So they don't have to tie the noose, they let us reach for the rope. You come across weakened and you sing when you spoke. Still have to promote an image I perceive as a hoax. Every time you underachieve, you concede or you gloat. Two extremes we don't need to invoke. I'm vocally outspoken, still I know what was took. The paradigm is paralyzed, parasites are afoot. Trying to hide behind the beat, their disguise is the hook. Your discography's a mask, still a masses partook. Look, I expect that type of clash. Heard he dropped a new track. I respect the right to pass. You believe your future's bright, but neglect the right to pass. How you spray yourself with Axe, but forget to wipe your ass. See, rappers in the back was decorum. Niggas ain't gotta talk because the facts do it for them. If it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, either it's bad luck or nigga, that's just a duck. Said I was busy, but that's just a duck. Flashing money to steer me, see, that's just a buck. Sky's the limit, no, the limit is the sky. They shooting if you comply, my nigga, that's just for us. We on the cusp to recover, something is closing in. All right.
All right. Damn near what? 6 minutes? 6 minutes or more. Actually, more than 6.5 minutes or whatever, right? There you go. There you go. Deuteronomy 28, verse 64. Let's go there. Deuteronomy 28, verse 64, King James Version. Deuteronomy 28, verse 64, part of the curses. And the Lord, Yahweh Bahashem Yahshai, shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods, which neither thou nor thy fathers have known, even wood and stone. And his father's a perfect example. Mr. Al-Asghari, right? But that's Locksmith's real name is Dawood. So his father, Mr. Al-Asghari, wherever his first name is, being scattered in the land of Persia or Iran, the Elamite captivity, right? Jake started following Islam. The same way you got a lot of those Siddhis, those so-called Jakes not so-called Jakes, those Jakes in India, right? That have somewhat of the original look since the Arab slave trade. A lot of them are Hindus. They put dots on their head. They're literal dot heads. And some of them are Muslim. And some of them are Christian. Wooden crosses. They worship that big pussy in Mecca, the Kaaba, which means vagina, right? Okay, and they also worship those stone statues in Hindu temples. So those three major core religions: Hinduism, Christianity, and Islam in India. Okay, is where obviously you've got Sikhism as well, but Sikhism is a lot of Jake amongst them because my family are from practice Sikhism. All right, a lot of them are Jake, the Sikhs. Okay, by the way, but Sikhism is not a major religion in India. It's fairly new. Okay, and they don't do idol worship. Absolutely not. Okay, well, you know, but the other religions worship uh, wood and stone. Okay, but nevertheless, if you're not in the truth of Yahweh Shemir Shai and you're an Israelite, you're not in the right direction. You're not doing the right thing. Okay, but this is a blessing to wake up to your heritage. All right. I mean, you got people. Now, you know what? Here we go again. I'll start yapping and you know, let's just focus on the scriptures here. Yeah. So we're scattered to the four corners of the earth, man. Okay, and this is just a perfect look. This is an example. Modern times. What's the brother's age? Is probably like, I don't know. He's been around 15, 20 years. So I'm assuming there's probably maybe 42, 43, around about that, maybe mid 40s. So, these are Jakes that were born in the 70s, early 80s, right? So how much more in the ancient world where Jake was. So basically, you got Israelite foreigners that may look like Arabs, that may look like East Indians, that may look like so-called white people, that may look like gooks, marrying so-called black women. And people say, oh, that's a really nice Chinese guy. That's a real nice Arab guy. That's a real nice East Indian guy. Okay, the only reason he's nice and he's clicking with the so-called black woman is because the black woman is carnal and she thinks she's got someone different, some exotic man on her arm or whatever. But it's actually a Jake. That's actually a Jake, you know? Uh, Southern Italian women or Latin women that like so-called pale, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Brad, Chad type crackers, they get one, but the Lord, says, okay, yeah, you think you want a white guy? I'm still going to give you an Israelite. You know what I mean? And they still get an Israelite. They still have Israelite children. Okay, all right, and then the Lord makes it even more confusing for some people, where the guy is a so-called black man, he could marry a so-called white woman, or the guy's a so-called black man, he marries a so-called black woman, or any kind of woman for that. But the guy who's a so-called black man with the original look, he could be an Edomite or an Elamite. Okay, so you got to be very spiritual with this, bruv. Very spiritual. Okay, yes, color is an indicator. Yes, we get that. I understand that. I understand it. Okay, but in the kingdom ain't going to be no confusion who's who. All right, we're still going to be very attractive. We're still going to have different shades of brown, different eye colors, and that. I believe, because I think, you know, beautiful brown toned women with blue eyes or green eyes, or really bright hazel eyes is a beautiful thing. It stands out more, right? That's what gray eyes. I think it's a beautiful thing, but that's up to the Lord how the Lord's going to do it. But He's definitely going to make us better than we are now, of course, right? Okay, we're still going to have those different shades or whatever, you know. So, hey, you got to be highly spiritual with this. Now, no disrespect to, this is because I'm a little guy in this, right? And I don't want to be disrespectful. Okay, now what would HOI say? They would call him an Elamite. What's your father? Or, let's just say he went up to a camp. They ask him, what's your father? He say, oh, my father's Persian. Ah, Elam, Elam. They'll say Elam. They won't go by the spirit. They say Elam, Elam. What's your father? But as soon as they say, oh, my father's Latino. Oh, you're an Israelite. You're Ephraim. You're this, that, and the third, right? Or my father's so-called black man. Oh, yeah, you're an Israelite. But they don't go by the spirit, okay? Because listen, man, we've been dealing with women of other nations, man, for thousands of years, man. Okay, so you can you can lose your original look, right, in one generation. All right, Blake Griffin, perfect example. Okay, which we always use because he's so famous, and there's pictures of him everywhere. Google Blake Griffin, Google Blake Griffin's father and mother, Google Blake Griffin, Google Blake Griffin's son. Google Blake Griffin's son looks like Eminem, but with a natural tan, blonde hair and everything. Now, Blake Griffin's wife could be an Israelite also. She plays WNBA. Is it WNBA? Women's basketball. She could be Jake, but she looks like a so-called white woman. All right, so we are everywhere. You got to be spiritual with this. Yes, color is an indicator. All right, and yes, heathens are not going to make it. They're going to be where we're going to get our slaves from. But we are scattered amongst the heathen, and those Jakes, like myself, that are scattered amongst the heathen, I know why. I've never always fitted in with Elam, especially. I know Elam. Most Jakes from northern India are Jake. That's why back in the day when I was younger, we always hung around each other. We didn't roll with Bengalis or Sri Lankans or Gujaratis or whatever, right? A Gujarati would be like that other guy, that fucking FBI guy. What's that guy? Patel? That dark skinned one. Yeah, he's Elam, right? We didn't roll with them. We always hung out around our own, or we had West Indians with us, or we had Nigerians with us because we clicked together. There was a camaraderie. There was like, yo, man, we like similar, man. You know what I mean? It was like that. We did not, we didn't roll with Pakistanis, even though Pakistan is technically India. But they're Muslims. We didn't roll with them either. You know what I mean? We were amongst our own because we clicked amongst each other. Because most of the people in northern India, a good 90% of them are Jake. I know. I've lived around them. I grew up around them. I went to school with nothing but Israelite foreigners and Israelites. Okay, we had only two white people in our school, and one of them was a Jake, George Kelly, a cool cat who's no longer, well, he's passed on now. You know what I mean? If he was still alive, he would have been about 48, 49. All right, so even the one or two white people that we had in our school, right? He was a Jake. You know what I mean? So we had nothing but Jakes. I grew up around nothing but Jakes. I know who's who. I could tell by the spirit and how it clicks. You know what I mean? We got a bunch of Somalians around in our neighborhood. They come in as an influx back in 91, 92 in West London. Whole bunch of them. West Indian brothers moved out. They moved to South and East London and that, right? And then these Somalians come in. They're heathens, all right? But then I've also met a Somalian that said, Jake, he helped me out, you know? Somalians were getting rowdy with me because I went into a Somalian joint to get a drink or something. Somalian saying, get out of here. And then Somalian jumped in and said, oh, he knew me. He said, hey, this ain't your place. You know? He goes, let the brother, let the man buy his drink and go. He ain't bothering you. Backing me up. And I looked at it through his spirit. I said, I've never done nothing for this guy. This guy, every time he meets me, he's cool, the Somalian guy, but because he was a Jake. You know what I mean? So there's Jakes everywhere, bro. You got to be highly spiritual. You know what I mean? I know it throws you off when you see Jake foreigners doing some heathenistic behavior. It throws you off. But our people are everywhere, man, and that's where you've got to be spiritual, because everything that is seen with the naked eye, as they say, is not how it always is. That's not how you should take it. You need to take it on a physical level as well as a spiritual level. Okay, that's why Esau, the so-called white man, goes harder on the so-called black man and the Hispanics, because it's more visual with them. He goes by the last Spanish names. He goes more harder on them. He knows there's Israelite foreigners. He f's them over too. He knows that Italians, yeah, okay, they look white, but yeah, they're niggas too. So he does, but he gives them a little one up on the pedestal because they've got a certain look, and he puts them against the darker Jakes. Why? So there's always that conflict, pursuant to Deuteronomy 28 verse 54, where our eyes shall be evil towards our brother. Same with the Hispanic Jakes or Mexican Jakes, Them niggas say, Mexican Jakes say, mayate this, mayate that, oldies and all that shit. Cool, I know we're all Israelites, but you Mexican Jakes say mayate this, that, and the third. But you love mayate music, don't you? You love to remix them oldies and, do your two-step and shit. But then again, you say you have mercy in them. I think they're still Jake, so we'll leave it alone. So we are everywhere, man. We are everywhere. And this great awakening, you're going to see. Listen, man. Here's a perfect example of how numerous we are. Hosea 1:10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. Right? Get a handful of sand and try and count every grain. Shit. Grab a teaspoon, right? And get if you got like a sandbag or whatever in your garage, or you're at the beach, get a teaspoon, right? And pick up that sand in a teaspoon, and then lay it out in an empty vessel or an empty plate or whatever, and try and count every grain. Virtually impossible. Okay? Hosea 1:10. Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea. We're numerous, which cannot be measured. There you go. Nor numbered. And it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there it shall be said unto them, ye are the sons of the living power. All right? Now, Brother Locksmith is a Jake. Okay? He's a Jake, but he doesn't know that he's an Israelite. He might have an indication. You got a lot of Jakes out there that know that they're Israelites, right? Spiritually, but they still follow the doctrine that their father or their father's father taught them, which is not according to knowledge, right? Isaiah 11:11, all right? And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Yahweh Shai shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people. Okay, the first Exodus was Egypt. Okay, the biggest rescue, right? Well, so far, the next one's going to be even, as we say in the UK, even boomer, meaning it's going to be even more magnificent. All right, because we're going to see the chariots live and direct, man. We're going to see Yahweh Shai, man. We're going to see His Majesty, man. You know, we're going to see the angels. We're going to see the chariots. We're going to see them get down. We're going to see the elect get spiritual power. You know, we're going to see this. All right. Isaiah 11:11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord Yahweh shall set his hand again the second time to recover the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria. I believe that's part of the Middle East or West Asia, and from Egypt, which is part of Africa, and from Pathros, which I think is in Greece, and from Cush, okay, which is like Ethiopia, okay, because Ethiopian women are fine, you know, they're still fine today. You know, some of them are fine, by the way, not all. You know, Jake been dealing with them. And from Elam, you know, and you seen them Bollywood girls. Are you telling me Jake don't want to deal with none of them? Be out your damn mind, man. All right. And from Elam, you know, some of these Persian girls, you know, Jake been dealing with them. So we got seed everywhere, man. All right. And from Elam, and from Shinar, and from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. You know, the islands of the sea, you know, Hawaii and American Samoa and New Zealand and all the other islands, you know. Verse 12, and he shall set up an ensign for the nations and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. All right. And he's an example of recent time Jake. You know, how much more going back hundreds, thousands of years, man. We are everywhere, okay? Everywhere. All right. So this is just a perfect example. So that great multitude, right, that was gathered, okay, in the end, you know. Okay, let's get that great multitude scripture. Great multitude from all nations, King James Version. Revelation 7 and 9. And after this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. Okay? All nations, every different country, all kinds of Jakes, you know, like who used to practice different doctrines and shit, but they left that alone and they were chosen, all right, from the get-go, to leave all those old ways behind, and they were chosen, right? And people and tongues, they speak different languages. They speak Punjabi, Hindi, Spanish, Italian, Sicilian. But Sicilian and Italian are two different ways of speaking, you know, I believe. You know, Pashto, speaking Arab language, you know, speaking Greek, speaking Chinese, Japanese, Mandarin, Russian, Polish, right? We are everywhere, okay? Different tongues stood before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands, okay? Heathens are not going to be, all right, before the throne. Well, heathens are not going to be wearing white robes, man, okay? They're not going to be chosen. These are Israelites that are scattered to all nations. Okay, yeah, they're going to look different. Yeah, they're going to have different, you know, they're going to be speaking different languages, all right? But they're Israelites. Bloodline, seed line, all right? Verse 10, and cried with a loud voice, saying, salvation to our power, Yahweh, which sitteth upon the throne and unto the Lamb. And the Lamb is Yahweh Shai, man. Rakti Yahweh Shai. Okay? So therefore, Locksmith is an Israelite. All right? And there's plenty of freestyles, man. I suggest you check him out and gather your own opinion. But me, I would say he's an Israelite. There's no way a heathen's going to get down like this. All right? I mean, even Eminem, more than likely a Jake, but I don't like him, you know, as a rapper. He sounds like Pee Wee Herman to me, rapping, you know. He could be a Jake, you know. But nevertheless, you know, I think Locksmith is better. Yeah, this is a Jake. Anyway. I'm gonna leave it there. So we're gonna come looking like everybody. We're gonna come from different walks of life, different languages, different cultures. All right. This is why you got to be highly spiritual. Hence the reason why Great Millstone don't just go upon color; they go upon the spirit. Yes, color is an indicator, as Elder Malcolm would say in the spirit of Yahweh Shemel Shai, but it is not a definitive answer. Okay, it's not definitive. All right. Okay, because things have to happen according to prophecy, and as you've seen in Revelation 7 and 9, we're going to come looking like everybody. Obviously, once you're in the kingdom, you're going to get your look back of pursuing to your tribe. Okay, you're going to get that, but we're still going to be diverse looking, you know, um, the way we do today, But that heathenistic look, that gooky look or that cracker look, that'll be diminished. That'll be, Lord willing, gone because, you know, in the kingdom, you're not going to have, your children ain't going to have leprosy. You have children with a so-called white woman. You're going to have spiritual power. You can darken up your children. Say, oh man, the blonde hair. Oh, I don't like that. Make your son's hair all brown, or your daughter's hair all brown, or dark, or black. The child is too pale. Spiritual power. You can make the child, make it a couple of shades darker, whatever shade you want your child to be. So the Lord is going to, diversify us, man. In a righteous way. All right. So therefore, Locksmith is an Israelite, and we're going to come looking like all nations. All right. Okay. Anyway, and still, you real Edomites, you honkies, you real Elamites, you dotheads, you muzzies, Muslims. All right. Whatever you are, India, Persia, whatever. You other heathens, you real Samoans, you real Vietnamese, you real Cambodians, you real fucking gooks, Chinese, Japanese. All right. All you heathens, you're still going into slavery, but our people are amongst you. All right. Our people are amongst you. Okay. Anyway, all praise to Yahweh. All praises to Abanoah Yahweh. Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakak Wadash. Mawatha Bad Babal, Kwam Yashrala.